So it's basically about the skill set. All of us are here to see that how to improve our skill set and how to change our perceptions. Like we'll have to raise ourselves from the different levels of thinking to higher order thinking. So you have to make change in your mind first, and then you practice them and see that your whatever the dreams that you have, whatever the goals that you have, so they have to be achieved. So in the process, we have particularly the entrepreneurship related activities. We have been listening to various sessions related to the several or various dimensions of the startup culture and how to shape yourself in a different way, right? So some of the important skills which are very much essential as an entrepreneur, if you really want to have a better and different takeoff, then you'll have to have your own skill set. Otherwise, your pace, the pace in which you move would be in a very slow pace. And one of them is interpersonal skills, very much essential. Sometimes, because of your background, because of the brought up, because of the environment under which you are trained, sometimes you may lack these skills, but you will have to stretch yourself. So whatsoever be the background that you have, so you will have to overcome those limitations. Unless and until you stretch yourself, you will not be able to achieve. So interpersonal skills are very, very important. And the other important thing is self-confidence. Most of us really you do not know, because you are just as a student, you think that you are not capable of doing several things. But if you really have, or if you look at the several success stories, then that would really motivate you. So you'll have to understand every journey starts with a single step. So is the case with your journey also. So you'll have to see that your self-confidence will overcome several limitations and difficulties. So that's how you'll have to again build your own self-confidence. So if you really have the confidence in you first, then obviously you can really achieve any kind of difficulties, other things that you have. So your mindset is very important first. Otherwise, if you don't have confidence in you, you cannot achieve anything, believe me. But there are several people who could really achieve. You may not have the confidence on them, still they could achieve. Why is it so? Because they have the confidence on them, right? So there is a wonderful school of thought. It says that, how many of you are intelligent, by the way? Would you mind raising your hands? Wonderful, right? There is a very good, wonderful school of study or school of thought says that there are scientific experiments conducted on that, and it's well proven. You'll be surprised to know that, right? So there are two guys, right? One guy is with 40% intelligence, if you look at his IQ level or some kind of test that you have. And he thinks that he is 80% intelligent. And there is another guy who is actually 80% intelligent, but thinks that 40% intelligent. So the experiments are conducted and some tasks are given on them. And after that, can you believe who has won the game? The person who is 40% intelligent, but thinks that he is 80% intelligent. So that's how the school of thought says that if you think that you are intelligent, then you are intelligent, whether you are intelligent or not. If you think that you are not intelligent, then you are not intelligent, whether you are intelligent or not. So what matters here is that your perception matters. So that is where you will have to have your own caption, your own perception on that. So that's how the self-confidence is very, very important. And the other thing is financial skills. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to be rich if you want to really become rich, right? So you will just have to see how to pull up the financial resources. So you will have to think different ways and means with which positively. Don't look at the negative aspects which are taking place across the globe these days. Don't look at such kind of things. But look at positive aspects and how you can mobilize the financial resources. That's where you need to have your own skill set. So that's how you can pull up financial resources. Quite possible, pretty simple. If you know the techniques and practical approaches in those lines, then those things would really help you a lot. Then technical skills. When you want to really see some of the success stories, if you look at, there are many people who have started their own business like a community business in the beginning, and they have become big giants, entrepreneurs? It is because they have the technical expertise in that. That is one way of doing things. Other thing is managing things. As a manager, you need not know everything. But if you know the technical aspects of certain things, then your confidence levels are different. Then obviously when there is a crisis stage, you will be able to overcome that. Otherwise, you will have to take help of others. You yourself will not be able to take a decision on that when you are at crossroads. So that's how, if you develop your technical skills, there is every chance to improve from your side. So that's how you have to see. And the communication skills, no doubt about, see, like, corporate requirements you have. If you look at any dimension of your profession, then communication skills are must. Communication doesn't mean just language, right? So it includes everything, your personality, your body language, your confidence level, your attitude. So all these things matter a lot, especially when you are in crisis. Then what kind of perception that you have about yourself? What kind of confidence level that you have? So the new school of thought says that, people always say that either I succeed, if I don't succeed, then I say I failed. But new school of thought says that there are two options. Either you can succeed, if you cannot succeed, meaning is that you learn something from that. There are only two dimensions now. People say that is, either you succeed, if you don't succeed, you learn something from that. But there is no concept called failure, right? So that's how you will have to raise yourself. And marketing skills. Marketing skills also, they are equally important. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, you will have to play different roles from different points of time in different contexts. So obviously, you will have to stretch yourself in each and every dimension. Those were the days you confine yourself to a particular dimension and you excel in that and you ignore other dimensions. But that will not work in the modern era. So you will have to stretch yourself to the extent possible in several dimensions. So that's how marketing skills are also equally important if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Then you have technology skills. Previously we said technical skills and now technology skills. These days everything is on smart way. So you have to use the smart ways to see that you connect to everybody and it reaches to everybody. So you will have to just explore those things with which you will be able to connect everybody and improve your business. Reading good literature is equally important, and listening to the success stories, listening to the motivational stuff. This is always important, right? Otherwise what basically happens, you will get frustrated several times. Frustration is always a good thing if you really take it as a challenge. Every challenge gives an opportunity if you really take that in the right spirit. Otherwise, you will get depressed. So that's how you have to listen to the people, you have to listen to the success stories with which you will be able to say that you can also stand as an example in terms of the success stories. And one of the good literatures, there are 7 books which have to be read by every entrepreneur. I'll leave the literature with these people, you can go through due to paucity of time. And one of the wonderful books is 7 Hobbies of Highly Effective People. How many of you have seen that? Stephen Covey, 7 Hobbies of Highly Effective People, right? So there are 7 hobbies. First one is be proactive. So if you really want to be a successful entrepreneur, you always need to be proactive. You just should not see that who will bell the cat, right? So you should always take initiative from your side. That's the first thing. And begin with the end in mind. Most of the times when you start something, you really do not know where it is going to be ended and what will happen. So if you really have some kind of vision about yourself and vision about the task that you are taking up, then if you understand that, you are very much sure about its destiny before it happens, right? This really works well, and particularly it works well when you are tempted to take up negative things, right? So when you take up some negative thing, you already know that where it is going to land you. So in those lines, if you think about that well in advance, then you always take the precautions, and sometimes it is not required for you. So obviously you ignore that. So that's how you have to see. And put first things first. This is another hobby. So this should also be taken. So when you have certain things to be taken up, then you should serialize them, you should also prioritize them, then accordingly you will have to complete those tasks. And there is another school of thought always says, that is, think win-win situation. There are 4 options, like you want to win, you want others to lose. Sometimes you will lose, others will win, and sometimes neither you win nor others win. This also happens, right? Sometimes when you want to have a goal, a game like football, right? So either you don't do goal and you don't allow others also to do the goal, right? So that's how it happens. The best possible solution is win-win. After a lot of experiments, results of the experiments is that all these 4 combinations are possible, but the best combination that is possible is, sometimes you always think that the better combination is that you win, others lose, right? You always think that, right? But that's not the best solution. Best solution is win-win. You win, you also let others win. That would always help you. So you should always have your philosophy, that a win-win philosophy. So if you adopt win-win philosophy, there is every possibility to grow in a much faster way. So win-win thinking is again required, and seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is wonderful concept, right? So we always think that people don't understand me, right? And just rethink about that. Am I really understanding others, right? So before we ask others to understand us, let us try from our side to understand others, right? So you understand others first, then think of they understanding you later. So that really works well, right? So that should also be followed. And synergy of energies, that is called synergize. This is also very, very important. So you know pretty well about that, right? So if you look at any organization, nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something, right? So that's how teamwork is very much important, and when all energies synergize, then you obviously see a lot of growth taking place, right? So that's sharing of work, sharing of knowledge. These things will always help you, right? So that's how it should be, right? So these are the 6 hobbies. And what is 7th hobby? Practicing these 6 is 7th hobby, right? So that's how they are called 7 hobbies of highly effective people. Meaning is that if you want to become highly effective person, then you follow these things. The best way to become the best is to practice them. So that's the only way that. So one of them is this second quadrant approach. So what is the meaning of this second quadrant approach? If you look at a 2-dimensional plane, in x-axis you have some parameters, in y-axis you have some parameters, right? X, what is that? Urgent and not urgent. In the y direction you have not important and important. So if you just take them as quadrants, then you get 4 quadrants. So what is first quadrant? They are urgent and important. And second quadrant, not urgent and important. And third quadrant, urgent and not important. And fourth quadrant, not urgent and not important. Just go to 4th quadrant. They are not urgent and not important. Come again, not urgent, not important. Still we have some activities in that, right? So most of us, may not be you, but many of the people take up these 4th quadrant activities and waste their time. So since they are not important, not urgent, so you can simply discard those activities, right? Come to 3rd quadrant. 3rd quadrant, they are urgent, but they are not important. Just because they are urgent, we start working and we are behind them. That way also you will be wasting a lot of your energy and time. Since they are not important, you can also discard all these 3rd quadrant approach, right? So if you look at your own schedules, your own activities, just take 1 week, 1 month, quarterly or 6 months, 1 year, take those activities and just try to put them, then accordingly you will get activities in these 4 quadrants, okay? Then come to the first quadrant. They are urgent and important. They are urgent and important. So wise people, effective people always do have work to do list. They always keep listing of the works and they start doing them one by one. So in this process, if you look at them, since they are important and urgent, you start working on them. So you will be pressured under the pressure of the time. So over a period of time, you will realize that, okay, they are important, but why should I do in hurry? So after some time you realize since they are important, but we should not do them in a hurry, so we'll try to push them from first quadrant to second quadrant. So what are the second quadrant activities? They are important but not urgent. They are important but not urgent. So we will always be moving them towards second quadrant. So you will do them leisurely, but since they are important, you will go in a focused way. Right? So that is what is called second quadrant approach. All visionaries, great leaders, scientists, entrepreneurs adopt this second quadrant approach. So if you adopt this second quadrant approach, you are ensured with high-end success. Okay, so that's how you will have to follow this second quadrant approach. In the process, what basically happens, you must have experienced several times. When you are interested in something, let's say you have gone to a movie which is quite interesting for you, then you never look at your watch, right? So after 3 hours, you see that, oh, 3 hours already over. But when you are in a class like this, then the same 3 hours, what happens? You look at your watch so frequently, right? So meaning is that the time is same, but sometimes you feel that time is long, sometimes you feel that time is short. So what do you mean by that? Time is not the function of time alone. It is the function of event, right? So that's how you will move your activities from time management to work management. This is very, very important. So you will move your perceptions, your philosophy from time management to work management. So the people who are highly effective are always using this work management skills. So that's how if you follow this second quadrant approach, you are assured of high-end results. Okay, right? I am sure other things you can follow because the session is for a smaller time, right? So besides this, we have been engaged with the J Hub, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad Innovation Hub. So which is very in budding stage, but it has got a very good takeoff and a wonderful space. Premises are given and with a infrastructure of 2.5 crores initially with the laboratories centralized, and anybody can have access to them. That is one thing. And then incubation space is also provided, and we got one Niti Aayog Atalji incubation worth of around 8 crores, that is also given. So all these are in the pipeline, and perhaps in coming 6 months we will have a full-fledged facility, and whoever wants to utilize the facility, we want to really have the incubation centers, and all of you are welcome to establish your own startup centers, and you can also have any kind of collaboration. So we always assure from our side any collaboration that you want from our side. We always support you in those lines. Right? Thank you so much.